Hey, this is Jonathan Lewis with the Welding Tips and Tricks podcast. I want to take the time right now to thank everyone for listening to us for the past 3 years, the regular show every Monday. This episode is going to be something new, something different that we're going to try, and we're calling these episodes Stubbies. Get it? You know, like a stubby gas lens. This is an episode where we're going to take your questions that you give us, that you ask, and we're going to try our best to answer them in a short format. The idea of the Stubbies is a approximately 10-minute episode where we can take your question, quickly answer it, and you can be able to listen to this on your breaks. You can go back and listen to these down the road in a catalog. It makes it easy for you to get the answer without having to listen to an hour-long episode. So thank you. Let us know what you think about this, and please send in your questions to WeldingTipsandTrickspodcast@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page or any of our private pages, Crummy Welding or Weldmonger, and we'll do our best to get to them as quickly as possible. We want to thank CK Worldwide at this time for sponsoring the next 6 episodes, actually. CK Worldwide, as you know, has been a supporter of the podcast since we started, and we want you to be sure, if you're going to FabTech, to check out their booth and their products and all the excitement that's going to be happening there. We will be there throughout the entire show this year at FabTech Chicago 2019. They're in booth B33015. Without further ado, our first question. The first question that we want to tackle is one that's actually quite common in the industry, and a question that will probably always continue to be asked, and there are a lot of opinions about the answer. Van Weld Fab asked about when he should bake 7018 or when he should buy new rods for a project. As most of you know, the codes that are out there require and specify that you're to bake rods if they're out in the elements a certain amount of time, and in every code, and actually customer requirements are a little bit differently, or a brand new package, because the 7018 is a low hydrogen rod and it can absorb moisture. It does absorb moisture out of the air. The first thing I will say is, if you're following any sort of code, if you're following anything like that, follow what the code or what the customer requires. We don't want you to get in trouble. We don't want you to, we want you to follow code in all your projects if it's required there. With that said, however, all of us know, all of us realize we have 7018s that are old. I'm thinking of like farmers, thinking about hobbyists, even myself. I have some in my garage, that's been sitting there for a long time. And there are projects that come up where we want to use 7018. We want to stick weld something out in the field, or something broke as a farmer or as a hobbyist or whatever. And so the question does come to mind, are these rods any good? Should I use them? What should I do? Should I buy a new package? Should I bake them? Should I take them inside and hope mama doesn't catch me baking them in the oven? What should I do? First thing you got to do, in my opinion, with this is use common sense with the project. Now, I'm not talking about code work at all right here. I'm not talking about welding skyscrapers or structural steel. I'm talking about welding stuff at home or whatever there. Use common sense. If somebody's life is going to ride on that, I would advise buying a new package. They sell them in smaller packs so you don't waste a ton of money, and do it quote-unquote right. Otherwise, you got to look back over the past, 100 years, let's just say, that stick welding has been around, and how many things have been welded with electrodes that have been out in the moisture for a very long time, and they've been just fine. No one died, so to speak. They've been just fine. And so, these repairs that we've all done, welding with a 7018 that's been out for a long time will be quote-unquote fine. You'll be able to get the project done. You'll be able to get your machine back up and running. Or maybe you're making art. Do you really need a baked electrode to make some artwork that's going to sit in somebody's garden? Get just proposing different things for you to think about. Use the best practice that you can when you're going to be doing this. If you think somebody's going to rely on it so far as their life, or something can break and cause catastrophic failure, by all means, buy a new rod or follow a code. But otherwise, use what you got, and especially if you're just wanting to practice. use a 7018, burn it up, and then go buy a new package and continue to practice with that as well. Just please analyze what you're going to do and just make the right decision with that as well. I don't want to tell anybody that you have to always go out and buy a new rod and all of us have to have an oven in our garage. It would be nice, but that's just not the reality of the way that it works. And I hope that helps. That's just a brief skimming of 7018 electrodes there. Again, if you're following code work, always follow the code work. If you're doing something at home, use your best judgment on that. Once again, thanks CK for sponsoring this episode. Head over to ckworldwide.com to check out their awesome products that all of us here at the Welding Tips and Tricks podcast use and support. And we'll see you on the next Stubby episode.